despite that emphasis on local control, Kentucky has done a really, really good job thinking about infrastructure in a more centralized way. We were one of the first states to go to full cloud-based computing for educational administration. We have a statewide student information service, a statewide financial system. And the reason I highlight that is because what's happened, the efficiencies and the equity that results from that kind of a state level focus and concentration on infrastructure, I think makes us really unique.
And so more recently here in Kansas, we're seeing changes like behavior issues, referrals to the office, fighting fighting for the purpose of shooting a video for social media, right? That was really one of the big things that made us start looking to what do we need to be thinking about when we think about students' personal devices. You've got distractions during class time, homework time, and then the mental health issues. And that's just kind of scratching the surface of what that whole conversation looks like for us. And so the State Board of Education, as part of these conversations, we decided to establish a blue ribbon task force, which gave us kind of a flexible space to grow a group of advisors. And so we have 36 members. We have representatives, 2 of us from the state board. We have superintendents, principals, students, parents, IT staff, some local board members, and some legislators. We specifically did not put IT, anyone from the ed tech space on the task force or anyone from, say, the psychology, mental health space, because we wanted to have those folks and come and present to the task force. So the task force was designed to take in the information and then essentially provide advice and ultimately a recommendation to the state board as to how we should proceed. And so like Lou was talking about, Kansas is also a very, we defer local control to those local boards state, right? We have 10 elected members at the state level. We are not in a position where we would actually look to all 286 of our school districts in Kansas and say, we're going to recommend that you ban cell phones bell to bell for these grades or those grades. We would never. What we wanted to do was come up with a document that we can put forth to the districts and say, here's what the experts told us. Here's what this group of people decided sounded like a good path forward. Here's something for you to consider, local boards. So have your conversations and then you guys decide what you want to do in your schools.
And our goal is to really bring our ed tech office to the same standard as our adult career and continuing education services office and our P12 office, which is outfitted with standards, instruction, pedagogy. I think in this case, we need folks with R&D. We need community and industry partnerships. Like it needs to be its own major operation. And I'll tell you, just with me coming from industry similar to Melanie, she talked about her background, coming from blockchain tech, coming from the Chamber of Commerce world, I understand how not just New York, but as a country, we cannot afford to lose the battle for the future. And I think a lot of the growing pains we're going through now in this period of transition where, many of us across the country, I'm sure Lou, Melanie, and others, we all feel it in our states, the pressure of connecting education to work because kids need to know that there is a there at the end of their education and that there's the prize of a gainfully employing job. But the reality is the jobs of the future are going to look very different. And we have to be extremely forward thinking as we put together these offices of ed tech, because even for our kindergartners now, they're going to live in a world very different from the one we're even living in now. When I was growing up, we still had VHS, VCRs, and you had to run around with the CD players and Walkmans, and now look what we have, right? So we have to prepare our young people today for that world, and that's going to require some imagination, some resources, and a little bit of us taking bets on what we think is going to take off so we can strategically position ourselves to have a competitive advantage over what we know we're competing with kids and schools and workforces of other countries now.